The family of a local teenager says she never would have left home without calling.
Just praying for the best. I want my daughter home, man. And if she can't come home, I just want to know where she's at.
These posters around the towns of Livermore and Jay beg anyone with information to come forward. Posters that Richard puts up every spring, never losing hope.
Tell me what happened to my daughter. Just look me in the eyes so I can see her.
An arrest in a nearly 4-decade-old cold case. Thanks to cutting-edge DNA technology, the arrest happening exactly 39 years to the day
when Parabon Nanolabs used that sample to create 3D models of the suspected killer's face.
It's heartbreaking. We miss her, and we're going to find her. We're going to keep looking till we do.
It's like a never-ending nightmare. It doesn't end. It keeps returning and coming back.
So if you want to, I guess to get started, can you describe how you and Ludger met?
Ludger and I met. I was best friends with his sister, Linda Belanger. And we went to school together. And that's how we met, through her.
Now, what kind of guy was Ludger?
Down to earth. He loved to hunt. He loved to fish. He worked hard. He was a good dad. Very good dad. And he was a great husband. You know, normal, down to earth guy. He didn't drink much, maybe a little, but, you know, just here on the weekend or something. He just down to earth. He was a good guy. Kind. Help anybody.
So can you take me back to that day, November 25th?
Yep, it was a couple days, maybe 3 or 4 days before Thanksgiving. We got up to go hunting. My sister was with us at the time, so she stayed with the kids, and I went hunting too. We hunted together. And we went hunting with fresh snow on the ground. Nice day to go hunting, you know, perfect day. So we went, you know, down the road from our house a ways together. I think, if I remember right, his brother John went with us that day too. We just kind of sat in different places until, you know, about 9, I guess. And decided to come home. We're going to get something to eat. A little cold, so we usually sit out until around 9. On the way home, Luigi decided that he wanted to walk home. He was gonna, you know, get off the top of the hill there by Clifton Crummett's house, walk across the field, get down to the woods and to the county road, and then walk home. He's hunted there before many times.
So that was the point, him walking back, was to see if he could maybe scare up another deer?
Yep, scare up a deer. He hadn't gotten a deer yet that year. So, you know, we were still hunting for a deer. And, you know, he was just going to take his time and walk back. I had to be to work by noon, so he had a couple of hours before he had to take me. He was going to take me because I didn't drive in the snow much, so he was going to take me to work. But, you know, we dropped him off and said, see you in an hour or so, and that was it.
So at what point did you start worrying about Ludger?
Maybe 11. You know, a little before 11, I guess, because, you know, he said he'd be home to take me to work. So I went next door to his mom and dad's house and told them, you know, and I told John that he weren't back yet, so, you know, I waited longer, and then we decided to go on the snowmobiles and kind of, you know, see if we can find him, holler his name, you know, see if we can't find him. And So we did that, and we couldn't find him. He didn't answer us. We saw his,
You saw his tracks?
yeah, where he'd gotten off top the road, top the hill.
Mm-hmm.
But we kind of went through down the county road because that's where he was going to come out. We went out there and we saw where he'd walked all the way across. And
so what time was this?
Go down. Oh, it must have been, 11:30, 12 o'clock. I was supposed to work at 12, so, I had called in, said I weren't coming. I was going to, see if we had to hunt for Ludger.
Mm.
So,
how far was that from your house where you dropped him off approximately?
Not even a mile.
Oh, yeah, so it was pretty close.
Yeah, we have a, kind of a big hill to go up. Yep, right there, top of the hill.
So he's very familiar with those woods.
Oh yeah, very. Yep, very. Yep, he and his father got,
Did he grow up there?
He grew up. No, he grew up in Mechanic Falls, Maine.
Okay.
He lived there, and I lived there. We went to school, and he lived, a couple of miles from me. But in 1970, I believe, 1970, I believe, they moved up here to Washington, Maine. 1969, 1970, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
And he graduated, no, it's probably 69 because he graduated high school at Madonna Valley in 1970.
Mm-hmm.
So that's when he graduated. And, but he knew the woods pretty good up here. He had relatives that lived up here. So, and,
Now, how was he dressed? Was he dressed for the weather?
Yep. He had on his, hunting boots, hunting pants, long johns, you remember those red and black plaid hunting jackets?
Oh, yeah. Everybody
had them back then, They didn't have as much camouflage as they have these days.
Mm-hmm.
But, he had on that, and he had on his hunting hat and gloves. Yep, he had on. Oh, he, needed to be warm.
So you guys spent some time looking for Ludger. I guess that's his nickname, right?
Yeah, that's what we call him.
So you spent some time looking for him, and how long?
Before we tried to get some help. Game wardens were willing. They came right out, but the state police didn't.
So what time are we at now? Is that like 3?
Yeah, probably around 3. The game wardens came out, and they took over. They didn't want us out there, and they took over, and they started looking, searching, following tracks. It got dark, so they had to stop. So I really, I kind of, got very upset, and I lost. I was taken to the hospital because I knew he wasn't home, and he didn't come home, and I was I don't know, 19, 20 years old. I got very upset and got one a little out of it, I guess. So the ambulance come and took me to Augusta, to the hospital. And they brought me home, but I don't remember too much till the next morning about, I guess, 3 or 4 o'clock. I got up out of my bed. I don't even remember going to my bed. I was so upset. Anyway, John Marsh and Dick Hennessy, they were 2 game wardens. They were here. And my family was here, my mom and dad, and, the Belangers, everybody was there. there were so many people that were going to go help. And they had some professional trackers that were going to meet that morning to search some more.
So how many people at that point the next morning were out looking for Ludger?
The game wardens, professional trackers, there might have been I'm making a guess at 10 or 12. I think they wanted to keep it down a little, but they wanted enough to search so many feet, I guess. And I was listening to them, but yeah.
Did they probably not want a whole lot of people in the area contaminating?
Right. Just the professional trackers, the game wardens.
Did they have dogs at this point?
Dogs at this point. I don't believe it. Not at that point. I don't believe it. Later in the day, I think. This is me not being with it too much. But I remember the game wardens and especially John Marsh. John Marsh was one of the game wardens in Tennessee.
Now, what did they do to try to reassure you? Were they, I guess...
Well, they would tell me that not to lose hope. They said they can, they're going back out. If he's out there, they'll find him, But they kept telling me not to lose hope. But, after a while, I knew that if he was out there, something happened.
Yeah,
because he...
Pretty good hunter, I'm assuming, right? He was out there quite a bit, knew the area.
Right. He knew the area really good, and he wouldn't stay out, and he wouldn't just take off. People say things, but he was just a homebody. Yeah,
just out trying to get some deer for his family, right? Not out trying to do anything silly.
Right. He was a family man. He didn't go anywhere. He just.
Had he shot a deer and was looking for the deer, he would have gone back home and gotten help. He wouldn't have been through the night trying to track a deer, especially being that close to home.
Find it, he would come back home and they'd go back out in the morning. That's what they always did. If they shot a deer and they didn't find it, they wouldn't hunt all night. They'd go back out with daylight. So they were trying to get the state police involved, and I guess after 24 hours they finally did, because a person had to be missing 72 hours to be declared a missing person back then. There was a car and where they'd met, and they couldn't tell me that much. I know more now than I did back then, but they did tell me about the old tote road, him shooting a deer and dragging it and coming out to an old tote road, and then they told me that there was a car there, and that's where it ends. I'm not exactly sure when they told me about the receipt they found, where the car had been worked on. I think it was Clark's garage there in Union at the time. It was fixed that day or the day before, something like that.
So what do you think the motive would be for someone abducting Ludger?
They just wanted the deer. A couple of bad people that were drinking and out there, and Ludger was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. And that's about all I ever knew I could figure, is that they just shot him for his deer. Shot him for the sake of shooting him and taking his deer.
So fast forward 44 years now, with all the information that you've heard and collected, what can you fill us in from that point, as far as the vehicle possibly picking him up?
Well, they tracked down the vehicle. They found it on a street in Camden, and the back window was shot out, and there was no back seat in it. Oh, yes, they stopped at his house, and they went in, and they spoke with him. He said he hadn't been hunting in Washington. He'd already said he hadn't been hunting in Washington. He hadn't been in that season, and he hadn't gotten a deer. And, John Marsh told me that there was a box of bullets on the kitchen table, and they were 12 gauge. And he also told me that there was deer meat in the freezer. It wasn't froze yet. But I had, that was in the book too.
So he had the deer meat and he had the 12 gauge ammo, but he hadn't been hunting.
Exactly. But when they left to go get a search warrant, see, back when I was interviewed for this book, they wanted to talk to me about certain facts and all this stuff. And after it was all over, John Marsh asked me, he said, "Do you think that we made mistakes back then? Do you think that we did all we could?" My response was, you did all you could at the time. Because they didn't have everything they have these days. I think they made a mistake by not leaving somebody at that house where they went to get a search warrant.
Right.
I believe that was a huge mistake.
Yeah.
But
how long did it take them to get the search warrant?
Oh, just over a night. The next day they went back.
Oh, okay.
Were they undermanned at the time? Is that why they couldn't get someone to stay there, or is that just something they didn't think they needed to do?
Yeah, I think it was just a mistake. I think they didn't think, because they knew that there was something there.
Yeah.
They said, all our guts told us there was something there, but then when they went back, nothing was there.
To go back to your statement about they did all they could at the time, I think you're right. If this had happened nowadays, this would have been solved in 2 weeks.
Yeah, I believe that. And I also believe, and I also believe that if they went back over the material they have, the evidence they have, I know what they had for, mostly all I know what they had for evidence. If they took the equipment and they used what they have these days to go back over the case, they'd find more.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that. But when I asked about testing a hair strand or whatever, the lady that works in the lab told me, she said, "Do you know what it costs to examine one piece of hair?"
Well, who cares what it costs?
That's what I said to her. I said, "I really don't care what it costs." And that's when I'm telling you that family advocate that is supposed to be for us, all of the state of Maine, it's supposed to be for the families that are left behind.
Yeah.
Supposed to be the family advocate. She told me my case was too old and they would be focusing on newer cases.
Do they still have all the evidence? They still
do. I've asked that 2 or 3 times, yeah. I was upset when they moved Ludger's name from the cold case list to the missing person list again, because he was on the missing person list and he was on the cold case list. Then they put him back on the missing person list, and that upset me. So I called Jeff Love and I asked him why. And his response was that he didn't have the evidence that he was dead, and that he would get as much attention on the missing person list as on the cold case list. I said, yeah, and from what I can tell, there's nothing.
So Jeff Love says he doesn't have evidence that he's dead. When was he declared dead?
Yeah, 1994.
So
I had papers from the state police, Maine State Police. I have a declaration of death from probate court.
So he's above the courts, is what he's saying, I guess.
I guess. But I said to him, I said, I have all of these papers where even the state police told me that they did all they could to find Ludger, and that as far as they're concerned, he has been murdered. So I don't understand all this, and he said, I'm not aware of that. He didn't even know that I had a paper from him. Yeah. I said, I can get you copies. I have it all. So I went to the court because he asked me to bring it to him. I went to the probate court in Rockland. I got every copy of everything I had on Ludger's thing. And then I went to Jeffrey Love's office because I was at work, and I went down there and I got it, and I went out there, and he had left for the day.
So this is kind of why we want to do this too, is to help bring people in on these conversations on missing people and try to get some exposure and maybe push the state police to reopen some of these cases and dig into them, especially with today's technology.
A common sense approach to something like this, even today, could probably yield some pretty decent results.
Well, a lot of it is it's common sense, and then why nothing's been done, and why some of these things are being done and not done is very frustrating.
Right.
And I had 3 girls with Ludger, and we don't even care if anybody pays. We would love to see justice, but we don't hold out hope for that. But we do hold out hope for maybe having him home, whatever is left, if anything, because he was thrown away like a bag of trash. He was thrown away somewhere, and that's not right. We want to lay him to rest with love and dignity, and that's what he should be. He was loved by so many.
Yeah.
And he was taken away. He was stolen from us. He didn't get to live his life and do those things with his children that all fathers do, and hold his grandbabies, and he didn't get to do that.
I can't imagine.
The one that knows, or the one that did it, the only living suspect or person of interest got to do all that.
Right. Yeah, that's not fair.
No, it's not. It's not. It's
Not only was it hard for you as his wife to lose your husband, but then you have to explain to the kids, what took place. And
that was absolutely harder than anybody knows. I mean, not being able to give them answers, drying their tears because I have no answers.
Yeah.
I had no answers. I couldn't say, and take him where he's buried and what happened to him. I had no answers. It was like we lived to a certain point in our lives, and then there's nothing. He's gone, no closure, no, they want closure. They want to know, and they want to bury their dad. They want to have him back, and they want to bury him. So, if it's not much left, I don't know. It's just a yearning thing they want to do, and I do too. I want to take
Rightly
care
so.
of him. Because he didn't deserve it. He didn't deserve what he got dished. That's all.
All because seemingly he found a deer. Someone else didn't.
A deer. Right.
This shows how petty people can be.
Scary. I mean, my grandsons all hunt now. My granddaughter's hunt. We have 19 grandchildren, and quite a few of them hunt. And it's scares
I saw
me
one
to
of them right
death.
here the other day.
Yes. Did you see? Was that Tyler you saw?
Yep.
Yeah, he's a big boy. He just got a job with Homeland Security. So.
Oh, well, good for him.
Yeah. He's what he's been thriving for. That was his goal, so I'm glad he's a good boy. He's been going to college for 4 years, and it took him over a year to get that job, though. A lot of hurdles to go through. But no, he helped a lot in setting up the Facebook page, and we went to a few houses together to ask questions, but nobody would answer the door.
Oh yeah.
People that we know that have answers, but don't dare to talk because of certain family.
So what were the rumors you had heard over the years as far as the two gentlemen involved?
I heard that was driving the car. Was on the passenger side, and I heard that the passenger leveled the gun over the back of the front seat and shot Ludger while I was in the back seat. And I heard that tried to kill his wife. Because we were looking at him and trying to get answers, and he filled his cellar full of gasoline and lit a match, and I guess hit his wife up upstairs in a room. She couldn't get her or something, but she lived anyways. But anyway, he lit a match, and I guess something from they had a gas refrigerator, and there was fumes, and it blew him right out the front window.
Jeez.
Yeah, he got burnt pretty bad, and they rushed him to it weren't long, and they rushed him to Texas to a burn center because he had been in the service. So he was sent to Texas to a burn center, and that's where he died. I guess they tried to get out there to ask him questions, but he died before they got there.
What year did that happen? Was that right after the disappearance, or a few years?
A few years, I think, because I think the first one to go. Here I go again. I heard that they took the body to a house, a friend of theirs, a house. And the house, the guy that lived there died of cirrhosis of the liver 5 years later, I'm going to say. So we couldn't get much out of him. This is where we've heard so much. It's very emotional every time you hear something, but we heard that they took him to a house, and he helped him take care of the body. And that's right in Washington on Crystal Lake, across from Crystal Lake. Apparently they rolled him in some type of burlap or something, and then heavy plastic and chains, skidded chains, and took him across the lake on a skiff, what they call a skiff. And they said that they dumped him out there somewhere, not in the lake part, but after 4 years, I don't know.
So when I had met you a couple years ago, I think you had told me about some cadaver dogs, something they had out there on the lake, and had hit on something out there. Did they ever end up diving that?
No. Never did. Nothing ever came of it. The cadaver dog died. Quincy. He died, and they were training another one. And I did have some metal detecting done out there, but we needed some better metal detectors. We needed grapples. We needed underwater metal detectors. Even when you can see through the ice, they were going to try and do through the winter in an area, and I'm not sure what they meant by that, but yeah, still looking at that area. So
with the cadaver dogs, they brought the dogs out and they said, "Oh, well, the dogs think they found a body," and then they just left it.
No, they suspected he smelled something in the area,
okay.
but the water was too deep. We had high water that day, that time of year, so we were waiting until the water went down, so that we could get a better reading, I guess. And then Quincy died.
Okay.
And they have another dog and then another. Oh, I'm trying to think of the gentleman's name. He's a retired. I don't know if he's a game warden or a search and rescue person. He's retired anyway. His name isn't coming to me right now, but anyway, he had a bloodhound. And he even said that the water was too deep because they couldn't get so I'm not sure. So we waited for the water to go down anyway, and then just haven't done it come back. It's like things have just frozen in time.
Yeah.
Nothing's. It's very frustrating. But after 44 years, you have to just kind of deal with it. Yes.
So who was commanding that operation? Was that Jeff Love too, as far as the potential for a dive?
He knew nothing about it.
So who was doing that?
Well, search and rescue out of Julie Jones. Her and this other gentleman and family mostly. Okay. We would get in canoes and small boats, and the people with the detectors and the dog would go in different boats, and we go in different areas. I was out there. I was in a boat, and then I was on shore, and I just. But then some friends were there from, like, a couple of friends from the Cocos Alliance. They were there, but Julie Jones had Quincy. She seemed to.
Actually, I know Julie.
Yeah.
Oh, did we meet her at the missing?
Yes.
Families thing there.
Yeah.
So were the state police notified about the search and what Julie's dog had hit on?
No. I guess didn't want to until we really found something. Because I don't trust the police, I'm sorry. I dealt with them for years and years and years. And I was either told to back off, you're hindering a case, you'll be arrested. I mean, even with the book, they told me we couldn't have TV shows, we couldn't do searches, we couldn't do this, we couldn't do that.
Wow.
I mean, hindering a case? Really? 44 years later, I'm going to hinder and invest it? No, it's not. I don't have any rights. I don't have any rights to that case. He was my husband, father of my children. It's been 44 years. I don't have any rights, and I've been told that. But, Attorney General, she had all say over that. I try not to name names, but we were just threatened with, like when we were going to have TV shows, met with the TV production people. We were all set to, go for it. And she told the TV production people would be arrested for hindering an investigation. And so they went back to California.
And she may now be our governor, potentially.
Our governor, yeah. Yes.
Jeez.
Very scary. But yeah, I was told by one of one of our, state official people, I guess you want to call it. There was a few of us there, but he said, you folks live in a bubble, you need to get over it.
That's
what? Swallow that one.
Wow.
I so upset, so irate. If this was their daughter, their husband, any one of these almost 200 people or over 200 people that are missing, murdered, suspicious death, I don't care. If it was any one of them, they'd feel.
So this was in response to your request to have a film crew come in?
Yeah, film crew or we I had a retired FBI couple want to work on Ludger's case, and I was told no, and they couldn't have my case. They couldn't have my file, Ludger's file. They were going to work on it for nothing. They were volunteering. They moved to Maine, and they just wanted to help.
I think that's what the problem is with the state, too. They don't want to admit when they've screwed up. They don't want anyone to find out that they are incompetent.
Right, bad publicity, mistakes made.
That is exactly right.
This brotherhood network that they don't want to get someone in trouble that didn't do their job.
Right. And yeah, okay, they made mistakes. We all make mistakes. Then own it and just move on. But what is wrong with having a fresh set of eyes?
Right. Swallowing a little bit of pride. I mean, people would look past a couple mistakes being made if the answers were found, right? Like, people might be a little upset in the end, but overall, people would be more appreciative that an answer was found, at least at some point, rather than never.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And in the beginning, they don't know what's going on. They're trying to piece together this puzzle, so any mistakes were because they didn't realize potentially what the situation was.
I agree with that. But to treat us all like we've been treated is not fair. That's why we want to get a law passed that we have rights. The criminals. Now, in that chapter that Ludger's in that book, Open Season, all of the suspects' names had to be changed because of their rights.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. The suspects' names could not be true in the book because of their right. That's just. I don't know. How to
honestly,
we'll
probably be taking their names out of this as well, just because we don't want to be sued or anything.
Yeah, you can't use names. That's why I've always used, on Facebook or on Ludger's page thing there, I've always used person of interest or suspect, and that is true. That is true.
Suspect one and suspect
day
two.
One. Right. From day one, that is the truth. Suspect A, suspect B. That's what they've always been called. So, get me riled up. But yes.
So tell me about your work with helping getting the cold case squad funded.
Well, Patrick Day, my sister, she called me and she gave me the number and said this guy called from Indiana or something. I think that's where Patrick was from. And wanted to talk to me about Ludger's case. I'm like, huh? So this is where I got involved because nobody was doing anything. And every time I called, for 10 years, I called attorney generals. I called out there to Augusta. I would call whoever had Ludger's case. And I was always told that it's an open case. Still working on it. We'll call you. For 10 years, I was told basically the same thing over and over again. So I gave up. I feel like I did. I gave up, and it made me mad when I was mad at myself, I guess, because I felt like I'd given up on Ludger. But when Patrick called, and things were going and I was meeting other people, I felt like somebody cared again. I felt like, wow, somebody does care. Because I felt nobody cared. I felt he was in a box in the back of a room on a shelf somewhere, and that's where it's just going to stay. I learned that somebody cared, and there's quite a few that cared, actually. So many people I met, so many families that going through the same thing, roughly, that I was going through and my girls were going through, and that somebody cared. When I thought for years and years and years that nobody cared, and nothing was ever going to be done. So when I got involved and started going to these meetings and everything, I felt, well, maybe something can be done. And I just wanted to do more. I wanted to help more people. I wanted to, and it's like these 2 bills that we've got passed, working with the state there. One of them is extending the time to do a civil case against these people that is extended to 6 years instead of 2 years. That wasn't going to help me.
The statute of limitations.
Yeah, statute of limitations, that's the words. Statute of limitations needed to be more than 2 years. My gosh.
Yeah.
Most of the time, 2 years, they don't even have a court date or anything, for the one that murdered or took their loved one's life. It takes longer than that to get a court case going in a trial, but so 6 years. I mean, it wasn't even going to help us because ours were decades old, but it was going to help the future. It was going to help the ones that are going to be murdered in the future because it's going to happen.
So now maybe I'm not hearing this right, but are you saying that the statute of limitations in Maine for a murder case was 2 years, or was this something else?
No, it was 2 years.
To file a civil suit.
Right.
Okay.
To file a civil suit, yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
To file a civil suit.
Yeah.
Right. But at least it would help the future murders, which is sad, but true. And then I felt like I was doing something positive, and for not just for Ludger's case, because I kind of felt like we were never going to know anything when it comes to Ludger's case anyway, but for other cases like the Morrow case, and my heart just goes out to him. I've always said, and I've told Richard Morrow, the same thing, that it's my husband that was taken from his family and stuff, but if it were one of my kids, I don't know how I could handle it.
Right.
It's so different. I mean, his daughter, and Sheila Semino's daughter, and I just can't imagine one of my kids, that happening to one of my kids. I don't know, it's different.
Yeah, jeez.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll be covering Kim's case with this podcast too.
Oh yes,
Wow.
Hopefully yes, that would be great. It's always an anniversary I don't look forward to, but
right.
We absolutely hate the month of November, but it comes and goes.
Yeah.
When it comes, it's like a weight, and not just mine, my daughter's. I have a daughter, Angel, that's always posting on that page, Ludger's page, and she has taken it the worst. I think my other 2 daughters, Michelle and Tracy, they I want to say they're found God and their religion, and they have found some peace. But on the other hand, you know, it's always there. And it's like Tracy said, you know, she never got to know her daddy. Her daddy never got to kiss her boo-boos. Her daddy never got to walk her down the aisle or hold her babies, or because somebody wanted the deer he shot.
That's heartbreaking. Jeez.
You know, it's not fair. And I mean, she has written things in that on Luigi's too that are quite heartbreaking. In fact, she just shared one of them last week again. So here I am sitting, bawling my eyes out, reading it. He has one grandson that his name is Isaiah, and he wanted a picture of his grandpa. And he has a big, sweet heart. He's so sensitive. And, you know, he's been told, because he was wondering why my husband now is not his mama's father, you know, and it's very confusing for little kids. So we tell him he's gone to heaven, and somebody, you know, he got shot, and so he wanted a picture of his grandpa anyway. So one Sunday I took some pictures into the church, and I gave him one, and I swear I had given him $1 million. I don't know. He don't even know what $1 million is. So I don't know what. He just looked so happy. I'm telling you, I couldn't believe it. I was like, oh my God, I couldn't have given him anything else. And through church service, he kept hugging it. He would hold it against his chest and he would hug it. And I'm telling you,
it kind of almost makes my eyes water. Honestly, that's sweet.
And Jeff isn't sensitive at all, so that means a lot.
I have my moments.
Yeah, we all do. But anyways, yeah, he's got it in a frame in his room now. He has it right in his bedroom, and he's just 8 now. Yeah.
Jeez. Well, all I can say is thank you very much for coming and talking about this. I can't imagine it's been the easiest thing.
No, it's been I guess a never-ending nightmare. I mean, that's exactly the words that come to my mind, and it's because of Leola. I mean, she is the first one to use that statement, and I'm like, you know, it's true. It's like a never-ending nightmare. It doesn't end. It keeps returning and coming back, and I don't know. We hope. We still hope.
Yeah, hopefully someday it will end for you guys.
We're not going anywhere, you know.
Right.
Day I die, I guess I'll give up, but you know, but my kids
Until
won't.
then, right.
Until then, I'm here and I'm not going anywhere.
Right.
I'm gonna keep doing whatever I can do. Somebody has an idea, come on, let's go do it.
Yeah.
You know, and as far as the NAMUS thing comes, please keep me posted. My girls were more than glad to give you some of their DNA.
Yeah, like it's just a simple swab of the inside of their mouth.
Yeah. One of my daughters, and it's, you know, she's not Luigi's daughter, but she's very close with this whole thing. She had me do and she did it to 23.
23andMe.
I said, yeah, that. And we did. Do you know how long it takes to spit in a tube enough to send in? Yeah. I mean, it would take it takes a long time.
How about how many licks does it take to get the center of a Tootsie Pop?
That's exactly right. I think it takes longer for the spit, though. But Yeah, I appreciate you guys contacting me. And
yeah, we're hoping if we can get this out so people, maybe it's been 44 years now, right? So maybe someone's willing to come forward.
Yeah, there's people that know, they just haven't come forward. And, like I said, Tyler and I went to this guy's house in Marlboro, went right up to his house, but he wouldn't open the door.
Oh,
and he won't answer his phone. And we probably went to that house 3 or 4 times together. But Tyler goes, Graham, wonder if he's got a gun, he's going to meet us at the door with a gun. I said, Tyler, if you don't go with me, I'll go by myself.
Right.
So,
I guess I'm going.
Yeah, he did go with me, and I think that's why he took courses, college with science and criminal justice, because he said he was going to be a CSI person. He's going to solve that.
Yeah, there
nice,
you go.
Nice.
Yeah. He's gung ho about it, but he did finally get into the, the job he's been looking for right now. Anyway.
So since he won't answer his door and he won't answer the phone, if you had a chance to speak to him, what would you say?
I would like him to tell me what he knows. I am the mother of 3 daughters that went through hell growing up because of rumors, because of cruel kids at school saying things like their daddy's leg was found in Crystal Lake.
Oh,
I mean, they'd come home from school crying. They didn't have their daddy to go to. They didn't have their daddy to walk them down the aisle, to hold their babies. Christmas morning, I mean, little things. The little things matter. They didn't have him, but now they want him. They want to bring back whatever is left of Luigi. They want to know where he is. They want to bring back their daddy. They want to lay him to rest their way, not by somebody else's way. They told me that a number of times.
I just want to say you are so well spoken and very heartfelt interview, so we really appreciate it.
Very much.
Thank you guys, really. I appreciate your support and all you do. I can't say it enough. I do thank you, and I appreciate it.
All right. Linda, you have a good night.
Hey, you keep me posted on, take care now.
I will.
Thanks a lot.
All right, take care.
Bye-bye now.
All right, so our first podcast is done, Jeff. Good job.
Yeah, I think it actually went pretty well. Linda was great. It was kind of a hard story to hear.
Yeah, for sure. She did a great job. Very heartfelt. If you have any information on Ludger Belanger's disappearance, please contact the Maine State Police at 1-800-452-4664 or contact us at locatingthelostones@gmail.com.
We also have a Facebook page if you want to get a hold of us that way.
Like our Facebook page for more information on our upcoming episodes, and make sure you subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform.
5-year-old Taylor Williams led investigators to Alabama this week.
So we have some breaking news from Florida. An arrest has been made in connection.
After years of agony, a glimmer of hope for the family.
Investigators spent hours searching through this house off Pennsylvania Avenue.
What could be a major development in the search for missing Alabama teenager.
Tonight, a stunning twist in the search for Taylor.
Somebody out there knows something.
They want to lay him to rest their way, not by somebody else's way.